Ready to rock.
Let's do it. First episode of 2022. And you want to know the first name I'm going to mention this year on this episode? You want to guess?
I hope it's DeMar DeRozan. That's who it should be.
That's not who it was going to be. But yeah, let's start with DeMar. Back-to-back game winners. We can have the dialogue. Is he in the MVP conversation?
He should be.
He should be.
He should be. What do you think?
Absolutely. And what's crazy? It's to me, it's not even like a hot take.
He's not getting the buzz. He should be. Like it's crazy. It's really crazy because we saw last year where guys were fighting to get into the playoffs. We're talking about like, oh, they should be MVP, stuff like that. I'm not gonna say any names. Even this year with the King, people are saying the same thing. So like DeMar DeRozan coming from the San Antonio Spurs, Chicago Bulls was in the playoffs before. It's not like he just came to a playoff team. They were pretty bad. So it's like, give this man some respect. Give this man some credit. I think he definitely deserves to be in the MVP race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then when you look at, their record, the Chicago Bulls record, those back-to-back game winners, it's almost like it should be pretty obvious. I know people like to fall in love with, the top names of the KDs and Stephs and all that, but like at the end of the day, he's the best player on the team or one of the best players on the team where like they're winning a good amount of ball games.
Aren't they in first place now? I think so, right?
That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, yeah, they are. So it's like, well, I don't know what more you'd want from a player and a team outside of winning, and he's producing himself. So it's like that's the combination of winning MVP. So in my opinion, man, DeMar DeRozan definitely deserves to be in the MVP conversation. When you kind of consider not just his numbers, but the overall play of the Bulls, it's actually a no-brainer.
It's crazy. It's crazy though, Theus. It's crazy that sound. We're just talking about that conversation, like just being the conversation. And he's not. Right. We're not really hearing like DeMar DeRozan being. We're hearing Giannis. We're hearing Stephen Curry. We're hearing Kevin Durant. Like we just want DeMar DeRozan in the conversation. Like this season, he's averaging 26 points, shooting 50% from the field, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And check this out. I think his 3-point percentage is like 37% this year, which has always been like a flaw of DeMar DeRozan. He's actually shooting the 3-point a very high percentage this year. So it's just like, what else does he have to do to just get his name in the conversation? Because to be honest, his name shouldn't just be in the conversation. His name should probably be on the top of the MVP race. When we talk about who deserves to be the front leaders, it should be Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and DeMar DeRozan should be right up there at the top. Not like, oh, should DeMar be in the conversation? No, he should be at the damn top.
Say that. I'm not mad at it at all. Again, like I said, like the numbers are there. Like this isn't even a conversation anymore of like, all right, who are you picking or who's better or whatnot. But like, because all those are based off, I feel like, opinion. And even though might make the case MVPs might be the same, it's like right now, again, like the Bulls are playing great basketball, and he himself, again, coming off those game winners, like we already knew that DeMar was cold. We knew that, but now I think he's elevated his game to the next level. It's like, all right, we are having some serious conversations. I just hope, again, that Chicago can continue to play this way come playoff time, which I think they will. And I think they have a bunch of guys who like are ready for that moment. It's like they have guys who they were like one piece away, or like it was just one thing that happened with their previous team or whatever. Now, like, with Zach, with DeMar, with Vucevic, all that, it's like they have the guys to do it. So it's been exciting to watch Chicago, though.
And I get it because some people feel like, like I said, it's a 1A, 1B type combination between DeMar and Zach. So some people are going to feel like, DeMar came there and he's helped elevate the Chicago Bulls, but Zach LaVine, is he really better than Zach LaVine? It's not really about that, because all I know is that Zach LaVine was there with Nikola Vucevic last year, and they wasn't in the playoffs. DeMar came, and DeMar's doing what he's doing. Now they're the number 1 seed. So even if people personally feel like Zach may be better than DeMar, it's just like, DeMar has to get that credit because DeMar came on and helped elevate this team into not just a top 4 seed, a playoff team. They're the number 1 seed right now in the Eastern Conference. Let me tell you something else. Not only are they the number 1 seed, like they're a legitimate contender. I don't look at I look at the duel of Zach LaVine and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. It's not like I wouldn't be surprised. Like you said last week, they're the top 2 seed. Like I wouldn't be surprised to make the Eastern Conference Finals. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the finals. Like they're that good. Like that's how good the Chicago Bulls are.
Yeah, and to me, I don't even think it's just a matter of. I mean, obviously it is 1A and 1B, but I don't think it's a matter of who's better. But I think the fact that they have been able to figure it out, right? Because a lot of teams, even with having the talent and all the good roster on paper in history, haven't been able to figure it out. So not only are they winning, they're winning at a high level, and again, being the number 1 seed in a conference. They're not 4th, they're not 5th, they're not like, oh shit, this is kind of impressive. No, like they are.
Yeah.
You can make the case that they're the best team in the conference, right? Just again, based off numbers and records. That's not a crazy take to say.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just crazy, to have an MVP candidate type of guy on their team in Chicago. Obviously, one of previous MVPs with Derrick Rose and Mike situations, but it's like this is some serious talks that can happen with Chicago, and I think I won't say it was only a matter of time, but I am happy that this franchise was able to kind of put the pieces together to help Zach out. I know we've had Chicago episodes before, but like it was time, man. It really was.
Yeah,
it really was.
I know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know. I was going to war about Zach LaVine. Like people, he's just a stat chaser, this and that. No, like all he needed was some help, and now he has help. And I think it's also very impressive when you talk about DeMar DeRozan and Chicago Bulls. It's kind of like a lot of people said they wouldn't work, and I keep telling people like you got to understand basketball. It's just like when you pair 2 lethal scorers on the same team and you have the right pieces around them, they're going to thrive. Similar with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. People want to talk about like, oh, I always say like it's hard to win with a wing tandem, but at the same time, it's just like you got to have the right pieces to really work. It's not going to be their talent. Talent-wise, they're good, but you got to also have the right pieces to plug in. Lonzo Ball is the right piece. Alex Caruso is the right piece. Nikola Vucevic is the right piece. They got pieces that really make those two just have to focus on, all right, you know what? I could just score. and you guys can do the other parts. That's kind of what the Boston Celtics is missing with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I'm sure we're going to talk about Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you too, kind of going off that wing tandems. What would you say is the difference between those two? Not necessarily just like their playing style, but just like why is everything working in Chicago? It seems like, but things aren't up to par the way that things people expect in Boston.
The biggest difference between why things are working with Chicago Bulls rather than the Boston Celtics, in my opinion, is like I said, the team-wise. I think in order for the Boston Celtics to be really successful, you got to build a team similar to the Chicago Bulls. You got to have a big man that can play inside, outside, and Nikola Vucevic. You got to have a guard that can catch and shoot, but also can facilitate for others like Lonzo Ball. They got Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is like their Alex Caruso. He's a better version than Alex Caruso, of course. Marcus Smart is better, but they have that. They have that guy. They have that piece, but they need a point guard, a playmaker, a facilitator. They need a guy that they can dump the ball to inside in the post and say, go get me, 15 to 20 and 10 a night. Like Robert Williams is an athletic rim protector, athletic center, but he's not a guy you can dump the ball to and say like, slow the game down. Like go give me a, something in the post fadeaway, a hook shot, easy. Like let's run our offense through him. Let's take some of the pressure off of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's the biggest difference with the Chicago Bulls and the Boston Celtics, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the last name that you mentioned, Jaylen Brown. So obviously, again, we talk about that duo of him and Jason. But let me ask you something. Do you think that Jaylen Brown is underappreciated?
I want to say...
I might say, think about it. Think about it, because I hear the word superstar get thrown a lot when it comes to Jason Tatum, which I think, it should be. But is it time that we really say, like, all right, Jaylen and, like, he's here. Like, it's not just...
I think you're right. I think you're right. Because I think what happens is it took Jaylen Brown a little time to kind of, like, get to where he's at. That's the biggest difference between him and Jason Tatum. It's not really talent. Like these guys are both talented. Yes, I think Jason Tatum is better, but it's not like the gap is extremely wide. It's really like, all right, apples and oranges. Like if somebody say, you know what, pick between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like if I pick Jason Tatum first, you get Jaylen Brown second pick. You'd be like, all right, I'm good with that. So it's not a big drop off. So I feel like Jaylen Brown really came into the league and it took him time to develop. And shout out to Jaylen Brown because he really improved on his game. He went from a guy that came in the league that was super athletic. Then he went from, all right, athletic and play defense. Then he went to a 3-and-D guy. Then he worked on his game some more. Now he became like a crane off the dribble, handle, elite 3-level scorer. All right. Then he became an all-star. Now the question is, all right, what you going to do next? And that next is what you said. Oh, okay. Jaylen Brown he could be a superstar someday. Jaylen Brown probably can be like, all right, like we know we got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We love this wing tandem, but a team may be like, well, Jaylen Brown could maybe be the best player on his own team. Like maybe we should go out and try to make a trade for him to be our number one guy.
Yeah, and the reason, I mean, you brought up a good point, the idea of like Jaylen Brown he's improved kind of like year after year, and Jason, you can kind of, I feel like, tell like off rip, like, yeah, this, he's going to be like a superstar in this league. But there's nothing wrong with either approach, though, right? I think, the fact that Jaylen has shown progression and he's, again, gotten better year and year. Not to say that Jason hasn't, but just like you can just really see it early on what, Jason was going to be. But now Boston has an interesting decision to make, and they've had this question presented to them multiple times in multiple years now. But now that I think both of those guys are like on the verge of entering their prime, because they're not like, they're not babies anymore, right?
Well,
they're
not. I wouldn't get caught up.
I'm not saying they're like, they come in veterans, but
they come in so they come in the game so young. Like I think Jaylen Brown is about to be. It's either 25, and I think Jason Tatum is 23. Like.
Right, but I'm saying, though, they're not like rookies going up against Ron no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, okay, we got some teenagers, so let's applaud. The real question got to be asked is like once, players reach a certain level, it's like, and again, I personally don't think, they should be broken up and all that, but just like, what's next, right? That's the ultimate question. What is next? What are we doing as a franchise? And I think those two obviously want to win a championship, but to your point about Chicago, do they have the pieces? Are they doing their best job to really surround those two with the correct pieces?
Yep. That's the problem. Organization, what you going to do? Brad Stevenson, what you going to do? You went from head coach and got a promotion. Front office. I don't know any I don't want to get into that, but it's just kind of like, what you going to do? Are you going to put the right pieces for these two players to succeed together? So people can stop to like, they need to break up. They really don't like playing each other, because we hear all that, and it's nobody really knows that. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't really seem that way because both those guys seem very chill and very laid back. But of course, the media and those questions are going to be asked if they're losing and stuff like that. Boston organization, front office, put the right pieces around Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum so they can succeed. So people can see like, it was laughable for us to even consider breaking these two up. That's what we want. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, me personally, do I believe that's going to happen? No, I do not.
It sounds like there's a but coming. Like the way you pause, like, no, I do not.
Now,
but
because I have my own places where I want Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Where do you want Jaylen? I know Jason. Where do you want Jaylen? Do you have a destination?
Josh Smith came on and talked about how Atlanta Hoopers are very underrated.
Wow.
And he mentioned a lot of names, and he left off Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is from the state of Georgia.
Wow.
I would love Jaylen Brown with the Atlanta Hawks, with Trae Young.
Hawks?
Talk about a championship. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean,
it would be serious.
If I had to guess,
serious.
Atlanta would have to give up your mans. They'd have to give up your boy.
You gotta do what you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Man. Don't ever be a GM.
You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. I love. I don't want to even throw my boy name in the trade rumors, but if it's possible for the Atlanta Hawks to get Jaylen Brown and they want Cam Reddish, the organization may have to walk them to the airport. Like we we appreciate you, but Jaylen Brown is here. You know what I'm saying? And Cam Reddish could be potentially like a Jaylen Brown type of player. Like he's that talented. That's how talented I believe that Cam Reddish is. I think he has the potential to be, his ultimate potential could be like a Paul George if he reaches the maximum potential he can be. To me, it's like a Paul George type of player. He's that skilled. He's that talented. But Jaylen Brown is a two-way monster, two-way stud. 3-level scorer, create off the dribble, play, can guard the opposing team's best defender right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of like, why not make a move? Because at the end of the day, like the Atlanta Hawks ain't gonna be able to pay and keep everybody. Because it's going, you know what I'm saying? That's the problem. Like you might as well try to make a trade. You're not gonna be able to pay and keep everybody. So.
Well, I mean, adding a guy like Jaylen Brown to your team, that's not going to help financially. I mean, just the idea.
Well, you
like
move some pieces around. Though you move Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter's got a contract, 4 year, $64 million deal. And then Cam Reddish maybe, or some other pieces. I don't know, John Collins. I don't know, something. But if you got a chance to pair Trae Young and Jaylen Brown together in the backcourt, it's just like that's scary.
But you know what's funny? Who knows if either of those franchises want to let it go of their guys? You know, like, because if you're the Hawks, you might think to yourself, like, all right, well, we just made the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if we really want to shake things up too much. And obviously, you know, Jaylen, you know, is like that. But on the flip side, Boston, if you're like, all right, we haven't gotten a championship yet, but we still have two wing tandems that are young, right? That you can make the case they haven't even scratched the surface yet in terms of reaching their true potential and true prime. You know what I'm saying? So who knows?
Yeah.
But my thing is too is like, how long do you wait? Right? Like, how long is too long? How long is it where it's like, all right, let's get active. Let's talk about it.
You better get active, Boston, because let me tell you something. If they don't win a championship, it's not going to be like, people love to talk about money and stuff like that, but it's just like we saw players. This is a new generation where you can get your money, you can still get to the destination you want to go to. Anthony Davis showed us that. So don't get it twisted. Like, this is a new AD players running the league type. I'm gonna get my money, but you know what? If I'm not traded to here, I'm not signing. I'm not playing for nobody.
And I love that.
You can roll the dice. You can roll the dice like the Toronto Raptors and get Kawhi Leonard, and everything can work out. You can win a championship. But at the end of the day, it's just like, that's not what Kawhi and the Raptors did. That is very, very unlikely to happen. That was like some magical season type shit. Like, once in every 20 years, something like that. A superstar player that doesn't want to be in Toronto ends up going to Toronto and winning the championship, and then he goes to where he wants to be. Like, that's crazy. Like, that season was just crazy. Like, the 2019 season was really crazy. When you really think about it.
Yeah, it's actually crazy when you really, like you said, think about it. Just take some time. Like, damn, Kawhi really just, just chilling. Just said, I kind of want to leave. Then left. Got a chip and then left again. Control is very important. So another name that I wanted to talk about was Josh Giddey. And the reason why I say that is because, I want to make a quick shout out to Jaylen, who we had on the show beforehand, who came on and talked about the possibilities of Josh winning Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. And I can only speak for myself, but in terms of how I originally viewed that, obviously being big fans of, Jaylen and Cade, wasn't sleep on Josh, but just, only one person can win the award. You feel me?
Yeah.
But yeah, being the youngest player ever to record a trip dub, passing LaMelo, that's very tough.
It seems like every year it's a new passing.
Right, it drops lower, lower. But still though, I mean, that's I mean, I know, guys have averaged triple doubles and now it might become more and more common, but still, you know what I'm saying, at that age to get a trip dub, I mean, and you look at the other guys, I mean, passing LaMelo, that's
Josh Giddey, he's smooth. I like his game. I like the way he plays. He's a smart basketball player. Yeah. High IQ, has a great feel for the game. He's a traditional guard. He doesn't really care about scoring, but if he's open, especially from the 3-point line, he'll let it fly. But his number one mission when he steps on the basketball court is trying to make guys better. And that's what you like. He had a game where he had 0 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds. That should let you know he's a traditional point guard. He don't care about scoring. Hopefully, though, over the course of his career, I would like him to see, all right, we know you can pass. We know you could, rebound and stuff like that. I would like him to, to go get your shot a little bit more often.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I think the idea of being able to facilitate, at that position with that height too is definitely going to help him out. Yeah. And with OKC definitely being in a youth movement, I feel like that also is a benefit. They're not in a win now mode, in my opinion. In terms of just overall development, it's definitely going to be a good thing for him. But I just want to mention him because I know again Jaylen, was. There was
a lot of people shocked. It was a lot of people shocked though when he was drafted that high too as well.
Yeah.
It's not like he was a sleeper. He was drafted high for a reason, and it's just he's a traditional point guard. So it's just he's
And nowadays people are like, wait, what? Those still exist? Yes, they do.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's so uncommon. Now, have a traditional point. Even we talked about last week about Ja Morant. The best thing I like about Ja Morant is kind of he's not like Dame. He's not like Steph. So he reminds me of the 2000s guards. That's kind of his play style. So it's very nice to see that, especially in a game where now we're seeing all the guards just being dominant scoring first point guards that just shoot the lights out and stuff like that. It's nice to see something a little bit different, a little bit fresh. So shout out to Josh. Definitely.
For sure. Shout out to Josh, man.
And Ja Morant, baby.
And Ja Morant as well. We got two guys that should be returning sometime in the next 7 days as of this recording.
Yeah.
We've talked about them on previous episodes, but it's getting closer and closer to that time.
Yes.
So who would you like to start off with? I think you know which two I'm talking about, but which one would you like to?
Well, we can start the one that's supposed to return Wednesday night. Kyrie Irving.
Please do.
The best artist in the game is returning. The best entertainer in the game is returning. The most skilled point guard in NBA history, in my opinion, is returning to play basketball. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. I think he's going to put on a show. I don't think people have to really worry about he hasn't been playing or is he in game shape. I think he's going to be fine. I think we've seen guys getting 10 days off the street coming out hooping. This is Kyrie Irving we're talking about. I think it's going to be special, and I'm eager to see how it's going to work long term with the Brooklyn Nets, because he's only going to play like 35 games this regular season because he's only playing part-time. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to work out, how's the dynamic, how's the chemistry. But people are complaining. People are talking about, Kyrie Irving, he shouldn't be allowed to do that. Let me tell you something. When you're talented, when you are the best at your craft, sometimes you get rewarded certain things that other people don't get rewarded. It's just
when you have leverage and you're very good at what the hell you do, you can chill sometimes. You can, man. And I laugh because
you can push the envelope.
Yeah, and I laugh too because the idea of him playing part time, he's I mean it's real. You know what I'm saying? It's the idea of he can't play home games, but it's 50% of Kyrie Irving is better at basketball than
some people. 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I'll take it there. 100%.
Yeah, you kind of take those odds, but yeah, it's gonna be dope to see. And originally in the earlier games, I'm not even really looking for chemistry, right? I'm not even looking to see if they can get it back together. I don't care. I am literally just watching the games to see good shit straight like that. I'm not here to. Well, they don't seem like they were. I don't care. If they end up going out there and play isolation basketball for 48 minutes, that actually might be a great thing for me. Okay, so to have Kyrie back is definitely a good thing. I know people are going to be, criticizing early on, talking about overall fit with the team and chemistry and all that shit and how long it's going to take for those guys to click. I don't give a damn. All I want to see is Kyrie put someone on a damn island and everyone else get the hell out the way. I'm sorry, but hey, basketball is basketball. But winning games, hey, okay, they might do it, they might not. All right, I don't give a shit. But if he goes out there and gives you 40, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it. Which, who knows? You know what, though? If he does go out and get 40, which, I mean, minutes-wise, it might be tough to do, just, conditioning and all that, getting back to, in shape. And, it's still the league at the end of the day. But if he goes back and hopefully, shows out in his first game back, that's going to be special, man. And hopefully it shuts up a lot of people. Man. But, Kyrie is unfortunately one of those guys in the league that's probably most hated.
Yeah.
And we know who those guys are, but Kyrie, unfortunately, is one of those guys at the top of that list. And it's sometimes when a guy, doesn't play for whatever reason, right, whether it be injuries or whatever, people soon forget what the hell these guys are capable of.
Yeah.
And hopefully, he comes back and reminds folks of what, he can do.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other one guy, Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
How do you feel?
It's so crazy, man, because we're talking about two guys who top 75 players, in my opinion, Hall of Famers, champions. But crazy enough, they're still on good teams that are winning games now. And it's you would think that adding those two guys to their respective teams is going to save them, quote unquote. But their teams don't really need to be saved, right? Not necessarily saying that the teams don't need them, but they're not in a position where it's oh, shit, we have 500. Man, Kyrie coming back, or damn, we just lost 8 games in a row. Klay coming back, oh, let's party. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good thing because it's less pressure on them. Not to say that, they've been doing this for years now, so not to say that would, affect their game a lot, but to know that you're entering in an environment where you're not being heavily relied on, I don't know, like the damn Lakers, in terms of just all right, we need you to do everything, call it what it is. So I think that's going to be a good thing, especially when you got two guys coming back, one from injury and the other one just, for other reasons, of course, but just the idea of conditioning, changing, and being able to adjust and all of that. So I'm happy to have Klay back, Splash Bros and all that. It's been a long time. It's been a while. I know he's happy and I know he's gonna be ready for it. But
couple seasons, man. Like,
yeah.
That's why I'm happy for him. Hope he comes back. Hope he's healthy. I'm very interested to see what version of Klay Thompson we're going to get, because similar to Kevin Durant, a lot of people are talking about Kevin Durant's not going to come back as a top 5 player after he tore his Achilles and stuff like that. I was just like, all right, okay, you'll see. It's just like when your game is predicated on skill set, not athleticism, you're more likely to come back, not probably close to the same, but it's just like you're more likely to come back as a superstar player easier if your game was predicated on athleticism. Crazy how Kevin Durant came back off Achilles and now is damn near arguably the best player in the world.
Yeah, and it's like neither of those guys, Klay or Kyrie, have to do that. Like no one is expecting, Kyrie or Klay to go out for 40.
It's not those expectations for those guys.
Yeah, they don't have to. It would be nice. It'd
be
lovely if we get a 8-3-point game from Klay. It'd be nice if we get a 20-point fourth quarter from Kyrie. But fortunately for them, they don't have to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's I think it's good too for them to be playing now, not just to watch basketball, but as we get closer and closer to the playoffs and to the finals, it's gonna be like, all right. At that point, chemistry will play a huge factor, right? So now I don't really care about it because, like I said, I just want to see good basketball. But eventually, there's going to come a time where it's like, all right, how do y'all fit, right? How was the team playing? But again, anytime you add 2 guys like that, right? Like, I think everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that Klay is coming back. Like I said, it's crazy because when we talk about Kyrie and we talk about Klay Thompson, it's not even like they're superstars. Like you said, top 75 all-time talents in both our opinions. But it's just kind of like they're also like the best at they're like the best at what they do. Like I say that Kyrie Irving's the most skilled point guard of all time. That's what the Brooklyn Nets are getting. Like we look at Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson arguably is the second greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game. That's what the Warriors are getting. It's just crazy to think about. Like, not only are they getting like superstars coming back, they're getting 2 players like at some of the best at what they do, which is just insane to really think about it. If you're a basketball fan and you love the game, you're very excited to get these 2 players back. And Klay Thompson, like I said, his game is predicated on skill set, but I'm still interested to see more so how he's going to be able to adjust off these injuries, not offensively, but defensively, because that's what made Klay Thompson so special. It wasn't just his offense, it was also his defense and being able to help Steph really like, all right, I'm going to guard Damian Lillard. I'm going to guard John Morant. I'm going to guard Derrick Rose. I'm going to guard all the top Chris Paul, all the top point guards and all the guards. I'm going to guard these guys. And even wing players too, Paul George some nights, LeBron James. I'm going to guard these guys. So I'm interested to see, like, I don't expect him to do that, but I'm interested to see, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I know he's going to do offensively, but defensively is where, like, I'm really going to be watching and analyzing and try to see, okay, can he, is guys just blowing by him? Like, can he move quick, quick feet? That's what I'm very interested to see. And I don't know. I'm hoping it's, I'm hoping this, but like, I just don't know. That's what I got to really see.
And I think that part is going to take some time. Right, okay. I think that's probably going to take the most time. Like shooting, like you don't lose your ability to shoot, right? And to me, like at any age, really, like you don't lose your ability to shoot. But just overall, you got to remember, right? They're guarding guys that can give you 30 on any given night, and so that's tough to do fully healthy, right?
Exactly.
And so to now kind of make that adjustment towards getting back to that level again is going to be interesting to see. But fortunately for them, like I said, they do have time on their hands, right? They not only have just a good record. But months to really get it right. You know what I'm saying? If this was late March and they fight to get into a playing game, it might be a little scary. But at least they have both of those things to their benefit. And again, you mentioned the idea of like Klay's game isn't based off athleticism, right? Like you don't think of Klay and think, oh well, shit, he's gonna catch a body. You think more of like, all right. Obviously he uses his quick feet and whatnot on the defensive end, but fortunately he still has that shooting touch that we've seen kind of, in videos and stuff like that. It's still there, right? Like he's still a top 5 3-point shooter of all time. So that's something that doesn't leave. Like, so.
No, that's real.
It's going to be interesting.
No, that's definitely real. I'm also very, it's kind of like he also is kind of going to a better situation now because it's like they got the Warriors got defenders now that can really guard. So that's going to allow him to kind of, like you said, take his time defensively and just kind of maybe just focus on offense. Or he may not have to like take those tough assignments anymore. Now they got Andrew Wiggins. Now they got Gary Payton Jr. Like they got guys who can actually guard. They got Draymond as well. Like they got some guys that can, and James Wiseman coming back. He's going to be a rim protector. He's going to be able to protect the rim. So they got some guys that can guard. So it's going to be very interesting to see, definitely. But I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be great. Kyrie, Klay Thompson returning, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Definitely gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's crazy that two of the best teams in the league are upgrading. Like, we're not talking about 2 7th seeds, right? Yeah. We're not talking about teams that are on long losing streaks. We're talking about possible finals matchup, right? Like teams are getting their second and are third best option, whatever, and it's like.
Imagine that. Imagine Golden State Warriors versus the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Finals with everything that happened with the Golden State Warriors, how Kevin Durant left, and it's.
Let's talk about it. Let's do that. Let's open up that book. Let's open up a book.
It's not a. Yeah. Let's like just imagine that, like Golden State Warriors feeling like, oh, like we can win a championship without Kevin Durant. All that stuff that happened.
That is a good question. That is a good question. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
If the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets meet up in the NBA Finals, who do you feel would need to win that series more for people to shut the hell up? Stephen Curry or Kevin Durant? Let's talk about it.
Talk about some crazy narratives getting destroyed.
Man.
Or some crazy agendas not getting destroyed.
Man, either way. It's going to have to be somebody.
I would love it. I would love to see it. I would love to see it because I predict the same person that they were talking about they didn't need. I predict it's going to be victorious.
Well, I mean, okay, you're talking about Kevin Durant, clearly.
Yeah, I'm talking about Kevin Durant. I'm definitely talking about Kevin Durant.
Right, but I'm saying that I don't think that Warriors fans or people feel like they didn't need Kevin Durant.
Bro, it was a lot of need is
a heavy word.
I came on here and I let people know all the time that I believe that Kevin Durant made the Golden State Warriors a dynasty. I've said it multiple times. I don't believe that they're winning multiple championships if they replace Kevin Durant with, let's say, like a Paul George. I still think that Kevin Durant was a key member of that championship team.
Settle down.
I don't know.
Settle down.
Or Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton. I don't know.
Settle down. All right, so you mean to tell me? All right, so you mean to tell me that team with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Paul George, you don't know if they or Andre Green, you mean to tell me you don't know if that team would win a championship?
I don't know if they were. I don't know if they were beating LeBron and the crew, bro.
Come on.
I think Kevin Durant was that big of a deal, bro. I really do.
I got nothing but respect for KD, right? I mean, again, also one of the greatest shooters of all time. And we know we can do, one of the greatest three-point shooters, scorers, all that of all time. But, like, Paul George also ain't.
I know. I love Paul George.
Six man. No. Paul George ain't no 15-point scorer. It's Paul George. If they would have got Paul George.
But you got to understand.
Come on.
But you got to compare their games. Like, Kevin Durant is the perfect player that you drop and plug in. Like, Paul George, as great as he is, like, Paul George is at his best not playing the third option. Or really the second option. Paul George is at his best being the number one option. So would Paul George be able to go on that team and really like, oh, okay, not have the ball in his hands and just be a catch and shoot player? Would he be able to adjust mentally? Would he want to do that? So it's a whole lot of things. That's what I'm saying. Like, it ain't just like Kevin Durant is almost really the perfect basketball player. You really break things down to it. Like, can score it at every level on the basketball court, can handle the ball, one of the greatest shooters of all time, but also Kevin Durant, you can drop Kevin Durant and place them in any NBA system and they're going to flourish without it being a problem. Some guys, you can't do that, which is why I said I believe that Kevin Durant made the Golden State Warriors a dynasty. So if they do match up, the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets in the finals, I'm going to pick the Brooklyn Nets because I feel that the Brooklyn Nets will have the better player amongst the two teams.
Not mad at it, but let me address the earlier part. Okay. The idea, one, I agree. Like, you drop KD on any team, right? I think he's going to flourish. I don't give a damn if the team is flooded with small forwards. He's going to flourish, right? But two, I think Paul George would fit with that Warriors team, not because of Paul George being himself, but more so because of the Warriors, right? I think their two guys in their core system is designed in a way to kind of like everyone eats in a way. Like obviously Steph and Klay are like your top scorers, your top 3-point shooters, but the way they were able to welcome KD in. Now again, Kevin Durant is going to get his points. We know that. But they also it's a very unselfish team though.
Look what you said though. You said Kevin Durant. I remember doing
right. But I'm saying they allowed. I'm not saying that KD wasn't going to get his buckets, but it also some of that had to do with Steph and Klay being willing to allow him to open.
Go.
You know what I'm saying? Like
there you go. Let's open that up. That's something you said. You said willing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think the same thing would happen with Paul George though.
Willing because it was Kevin Durant. When you got Kevin Durant was arguably the top 2 basketball player in the world, top 3. He's been top 2, top 3, or whatever. It was still like stuff going on with like Klay Thompson, and it was like little rumors like, oh, Klay Thompson's not getting enough shots and stuff like that, like he wants to, like he's having to be this third option, stuff like that. So Paul George, I don't know how willing like Steph and Klay would be compared to doing that for Paul George and doing that to Kevin Durant. That's all I'm saying. It's easy when it's Kevin Durant to say, all right, Kevin Durant, you're going to be the best player on our team. But saying Paul George, like Paul George going to take less shots for Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson probably thinking in his mind he better than Paul George. So it's just like, I don't know how willing like that situation would have worked out. That's just me looking on the inside,
right? But
on the outside end, to be honest.
All right, so let's make sure that we're clear. When I say willing, I don't mean like willing as if to say, all right, Paul George is on our team. We're going to allow him to get the last shot. Or Paul George is on our team, so we're going to allow him to shoot 20 times. I'm saying willing as if to say like, yo, if we're having a bad night, we trust him enough to like, yo, go get an isolation bucket, right?
Yeah.
Like if Steph is shooting poorly from the field or Klay's shot isn't working, we have Paul George who's like that, what could be one of the greatest third options of all time. And so there is a difference. There's a gap, I feel like, between Kevin Durant and Paul George, obviously. When you think about the team that KD joined, which we already know and stuff like that, being a 7-3-9 team and adding Paul George, I think they would have been in great shape. I think they would have been in some serious.
I think they would have been great, but they wouldn't have been invincible. They were damn near invincible when they had Kevin Durant, bro.
You could make the case that they were beatable. I mean, they got beat at 7-3-9, but like if you win 73 games in a season, you're not too far off from being invincible, right? Win or lose. And to add Paul George, I mean, hey, like
all I know is like if they have Paul George over Kevin Durant, it's a lot of people, and they played the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think that series, that final series, is going to go the way that most people think it would.
Paul George almost did it by himself with a completely different team and a better LeBron team. So what you think he would have done with Steph and Klay?
Bro, I just don't feel like it's.
Who was the second best player on those Pacers team? Okay.
Danny Granger. Danny Granger.
What? No. No.
Danny Granger.
Roy Hibbert? David West?
Roy Hibbert.
Love those two guys. Love them.
Those series wasn't really close as you really think about it.
But if you
really think about it, it's not really close.
Either way. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
All I know is if LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they're not looking at the Golden State Warriors. They respect Paul George. And it seems like I'm taking a shot at Paul George. I'm not taking it. I know how talented Paul George is. But people don't understand, like, Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. Like, you drop Kevin Durant. You drop Kevin Durant on a 73-9 team. They're damn near unstoppable. Like, everybody knew, like, oh shit, they're gonna win the finals. I knew that. It was a wrap. That's why everybody was just like, as basketball fans, like, are you serious? Like, come on. Like, where's the competition? Like, what the hell has happened? If Paul George would have signed, I don't think that the reaction would have been as big. People would be like, damn, they got Paul George. Cool. Let's run. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like that. I really feel like the fear factor that Kevin Durant brought playing on the Golden State Warriors is like, people really forget, like, yo, Kevin Durant is like, it's just hard to explain. It's Kevin Durant. It's like LeBron going to the Warriors. That's how I view like Kevin Durant going to. It's like LeBron going to the Warriors. Like shit. It's like Kevin Durant, like shit. But it's just like, all right, Paul George going to the Warriors. Like shit. Okay. Like,
no, it still would have been like shit.
It's like shit, but it wouldn't be. It
might have been shit. It might have been twice.
It's like shit. But like Kevin Durant, like shit.
It would have been some deep dive. Well, that's it. See, all right, so that's it. So it sounds like what you're comparing Kevin Durant and Paul George, right? Again, the Warriors would have been better with Kevin Durant over Paul George. Duh, I agree with that. But to me, the question, in my opinion, is would they still, with Paul George, have been the clear-cut favorite? I still think they would have, maybe not as much, but they would have been a clear-cut favorite.
It would have been, they would have been the favorites. They would have been the favorites. They don't know about long shot. They would have been the favorites.
They just won 73 games.
I don't think they would have been the favorites, bro. But I think people would have still been feeling like, yo, the Cleveland Cavaliers can beat the Golden State Warriors if they would have added Paul George. I really do feel that way.
You feel that? Say that again.
I feel that people would have still been thinking that, yo, the Cleveland Cavaliers could have beat the Golden State Warriors with them adding Paul George more so than them beating them with Kevin Durant, bro. Nobody that really watched basketball thought that the Cleveland Cavaliers was really going to beat that Golden State Warriors team. I know I didn't.
Well, of course, no one with a pulse thought that. I mean,
you
just
really break things down.
The cards are really, stacked against them. I mean, it's just
okay. Now swap Paul George with that team. It's like, all right.
I still feel that way.
You still okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I still okay.
Bro.
First of all, you're the one that talk about all the time how playoff Paul George came back with no Kawhi and brought a team like the Western Conference.
That's a number one option.
So what do you?
That's a number one option.
Okay.
That's a number one option.
Okay.
As the number one, some guys are not. Some
fair.
guys
very fair.
Some guys cannot be the second or third option on teams. I'm sorry, like their game mentally, they'll be out of rhythm. Like some guys have to be the number one option. Not every time you could drop a superstar player and be like, all right, go be the third option on a championship caliber team. It takes a unique type of ego to like, okay, I'm gonna put my ego to the side. Like I'm gonna do what's best for the team. It's a reason why like most guys are like Chris Bosh, Kevin Love. Like those guys, like Ray Allen. Like it's like Paul George, a guy that has a ball in his hands, has led multiple teams to Eastern Conference Finals, who's used to be the number one option. It's just like, yo, that's a hard thing to swap. It's almost the same thing with Damian Lillard. It's a reason like people talk about Dame. Dame doesn't want to leave Portland because of loyalty, but also Dame doesn't want to leave Portland because Dame views himself as a number one option. He views himself as the man, as the go-to guy, as a guy that wants to have all the credit to help lead a team to a championship. Paul George is cut for that similar cloth, bro. That's all I'm saying. It's just like some players to go to a different team and to play that second option is like, okay, I probably can do it. But third option, like, this really is hard for me. It's tough. So that's all I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, like, those things matter.
Okay, a couple things. One, when you mentioned all those other guys, right, outside of Dame, one thing that I'll mention on top of that, it was who they decided to play with, right? So, like, it ain't even just like a Chris Bosh or a Kyrie. When you have a guy like LeBron James that is willing to, obviously anytime you play with LeBron, he's going to be the number one option. But like, there's been times where LeBron has been like, yo, you go get a bucket. I have confidence in you. It's not just me. Same thing with Steph and Klay. Those are two of the most unselfish superstars the league has ever seen. So I don't think that Paul George would have inserted himself and felt like alone. Now, I use that very loosely, the KD situation and all that. But it's the idea of like, if Paul George went there, I don't think it would have been Steph and Klay that said like, you know what? You're coming to our team. You wait your turn. We got this. If we need you, we'll call you. I don't think that would have been the case. And on top of that, but the fact that Paul George is ringless, the fact that Paul George is not got a bunch of championships and he's bringing that pedigree. Bro. He's going to a team that already has it. So it's like, underestimate what?
I think you underestimate guys' egos sometimes. That shit was that. It's one of the reasons why Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors, because even though like what he brought to that team and he came in, he fitted perfectly. It was still like him feeling like, yo, like they don't really like understand like what I'm bringing to the table. They don't understand like how I helped them win championships. It's just like we got people that I'm on the same team talking about. You can leave. Like, we don't need you. We want, like, that happens, bro. Like, I'm not talking about something that don't really happen.
Look,
all that shit happen.
At the end of the day, these are grown men, right? And so, at the end of the day, this not only is this a business, but dudes, sometimes get testosterone problems in terms of like, yo, I want to win. I want to be the number one option. Everyone wants to be the alpha dog. I get that. But at the same time, if you want to mention ego when it comes to Kevin Durant, him leaving the Golden State Warriors, at the same time, he left the Oklahoma City Thunder to join that Golden State Warriors team. And that took a bruise to his overall ego. So I don't think he has a problem with like what people think about him. At the end of the day, as a player, you want to win basketball games. I don't give two shits what everybody else is saying. Again, especially if you don't have any rings. You could sit here and say, ego this, ego that. Look at your fingers. If you ain't got no jewelry on them, then maybe you want to start thinking twice.
All I'm saying is jewelry doesn't matter to all these players. Some you know what matters to some of these players? Being a man, being a guy, having the offense run through you the whole night, having the opportunity to go get you 30, 40, 50, being the guy like, yo, if I win a championship, yo, they going to view me like Giannis. They going to view me like Kobe.
And where has that gotten most players? Where has that gotten most players?
Hey, it just depends. It depends on what they value.
It don't depends. It
depends on what they value. Allen Iverson didn't win a championship, bro, but Allen Iverson did things his way, and he's viewed as this iconic legend, this iconic figure. Even though he didn't win a championship, he's still a top 20 basketball player of all time. All I'm saying is like people's mentality and the way that they feel and the way that they want to do things, that matters more to them than just winning a championship or winning in general sometimes. We're seeing it right now with some of the best players in the league. And it's not just a loyalty thing. It's like they want to win their way, and you got to respect that.
Okay, but you know what? That's exactly my point. You talk about AI. That was decades ago in an era where players weren't like really controlling their own path the way they are now. So if anything, that's even more of a reason why I feel like, yo, dudes are realizing like, yo, I'm trying to win. It's nice to be loyal. Obviously, I'm saying I'm trying to get my bag too. But if I got to leave to win, if management isn't handling their business and I got to go play with other players who, might be better than me or, it's a different system, so be it. But I'm not going to be entering 36, 37, 38 years old wondering, damn, what if I would have left? What if I would have chose myself over the organization?
It depends. It depends on your makeup. It depends on what type of player you are. I'm telling you for a basketball perspective, I played basketball on the team where I was the best player on my college team, bro. And it was just kind of like my first 2 seasons in college, we were losing. But it was just like, I could have go transfer somewhere else. But it was just like, I was the man. I didn't care. The stats, the points per game, the accolades, the being the number one guy. That mattered to me. And you know what? When we went to the NCAA tournament, I was viewed as a guy that did it. That was the number one option, the top of the mountain. So that matters to guys. So that's what I'm saying. That matters to guys. Okay, it's a mentality thing. That's what I'm saying. Like it matters. And it may be hard to explain, but that some guys are just like, they rather like do it their way. Like I rather did it my way than like, say like, I gotta play with another guy. I gotta share the ball more. I gotta take a dip in my stats. Like I'm not really about that. I want to be the man. I want to be the guy that's gonna take us to the mountaintop. Okay, and you may die on that, and you may die trying to get to that mountaintop, like you said.
That's fine, but there's a couple of differences with the statement you just said. First things first is the 4-year thing, right? You're there in college for 4 years. You don't know how long you're going to be in the NBA, right? So as you enter college, you know for a fact, all right, I got 4 years to get it done. And on top of that, you have a goal in mind, right? When you're in college, for the most part, you either want to make it to the pros or to the next level. So all college is a resume, right? You want to win and all that. But at the same time, you want to use that platform to show everybody else the next step that you're going. The league, that is the top of the top. So at that point, it ain't about proving your case to everybody. It's about winning a championship there, right? So I hear you on the whole, like as an individual, I want to get my buck in college. Cool. You probably want to do that so that you want to reach the next level. But in the league, I'm trying to win chips, right? This is the top of the top. I am trying to win. I don't give a damn what my numbers are to a certain extent. To a certain extent,
because some people, winning is secondary. I hate to say it, like not everybody's gonna win a championship. I don't view, and that's why I've always been a guy. I hate the ring argument. That's why I'll be like, all right, let's put the rings aside. Let's talk about what they do on the court. Let's talk about talent and skill. That matters because sometimes people can just use an argument that it does matter because people. That's why we see Bill Russell. No disrespect to the legend Bill Russell, but that's why we see Bill Russell in people's top 5s. These. Because of the rings. So that argument about the whole rings things that matter is just like I can't flow with that because
how about this?
That's not the case, bro, all the time, and you know that. You know how dicey things get, bro.
But don't say put it to the side. Don't say let's act like that's a part of it. Now, if you said let's not make it seem like right, but
that is a part of it.
If you were
that's
to say,
one part.
Right, exactly. One, but you said put it to the side. Like, all right, let's just analyze the eye test. No, eye test is important.
No, I'm not saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying put it to the side, meaning like let's talk about everything. Let's use it as a category. Let's use accolades and rings as a category. Let's not just use it as the end all be all when we're talking about this player is better than this player because he got 6 rings. What? That's the problem. That's the problem. When people analyze, when people talk about players, that's why you look at the top 75 list, the NBA list that just dropped before the season started, and it's just like who's this player? Like what? Because he did what in the 1930s? Like, come on, bro.
But that's slightly different, and I agree on that list.
Is it this?
It is because
a lot of those guys had championships and they was going off their peak and stuff like that. I don't know how different it is, really.
Because, all right, so if you've been in the league for 12, 13, 14 years or whatever, and you want to sit here and tell yourself, I want to get my numbers, I want to get my stats, I want to get my money, that all sounds good. I will never be confused at someone who feels that way. But I promise you, at some point, if you keep losing over and over and over and over again, you're going to become frustrated, right? Whether you want to be the number one option or not, you are going to become frustrated. I don't care how much you like scoring the basketball. That shit is annoying. Not winning games is frustrating. You giving up 40 a year, but you taking L's. That's not cool.
It's a difference between doing that and being like a Bradley Beal and teams not getting to the playoffs. But if you're having success and you're having a chance to go to the playoffs in first or second round and you're actually competing, that's something different compared to what you're talking about, I believe. Because even if you're competing to win and you're having a chance to compete, because you never know, you could have a Cinderella year where basically, like I look at the bubble where I'm like, damn, like this was a perfect opportunity for Dame to kind of like if they could have gone out,
which he did, by the way.
Is that
Dame's bubble was nasty, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know
Dame's bubble
but it was
Dame's
crazy.
bubble, and also the season before that when they had an opportunity, like yo, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. It was like no Kevin Durant, like yo, damn, this is your opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have. Hey, that's what I'm saying. So as long as you give yourself chances to compete as a player, I think you're more fine. But because at the end of the day, people love to talk about LeBron James having more losses in the finals than wins, but most people are 0-0. Most people are 0-0. People talk about LeBron James. Let's be honest. People talk about like, yo, LeBron James has a losing record in the finals. Most people are 0-0. So that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, if we just arguing about like when we do these rankings, who's better based on rings and stuff like that, it's deeper than that. That's all I'm saying.
Damn,
that's the truth, bro.
No cap. That might have been the really. We get in the argument right there.
That's
that
true,
might have
bro.
been the realest shit I've ever
crazy.
heard you say.
LeBron James, he got a losing record. You ain't never been. You ain't never been to the finals. What? You don't even know what it tastes like. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think for the first time I'll have nothing to say to that. That's some real shit. I'd never even thought like that. Damn, that's some real shit.
Cap or no cap? Cap or no cap? The Chicago Bulls are more likely to reach the NBA Finals over the Los Angeles Lakers.
No cap.
Ooh, okay.
Honestly, it's not even that challenging. And again, this is one of those questions where it has nothing to do with the Lakers.
Okay.
The Bulls are playing that, extremely well. They're healthy, right? They have, their guys for the most part. They're winning. They have an MVP candidate. And this might sound a little corny, but they believe, right? Like they have the talent, but they're playing as if like they deserve to be here. They're not playing lazy. They're not waiting, right? They're not on something. We see Brooklyn, we see Milwaukee. That's cool. Let's try and get the 5th or 6th seed. No, like they legitimately think they can win right now, which they should. I know
I'm surprised.
I just call it how it is. Now I'm a fan. Yeah. Obviously, if I want to go, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But from the Lakers' point, record-wise, just overall health, they're missing one of their top guys right now due to injury. There's no reason, and I really do hate to say it, there's nothing outside the fact that they have LeBron James that gives me enough. Right, it is a big reason. But there's nothing else outside of that would give me enough. But you know what, though? I would hear you on that completely if the Bulls weren't playing the way they were, right? Mm-hmm. Like, again, no knock to LeBron or the Lakers, but the Bulls are not playing average basketball. They're not. Okay. They are ahead of a team with Kevin Durant and James Harden, who, a team that's also getting ready to add Kyrie, but like they are ahead of the NBA champions. Like this isn't just a team that's hot right now. They are the best team in a conference where, we're talking about another team who's trying to fight for a play-in spot. So just literally just looking at the numbers mathematically, like even like eye tests included, like the Bulls are here. And I'm not giving up on the Lakers, of course, but just I can't sit here and deny what the Bulls are doing. That's just not fair to.
I think it's more. I respect that, but I'm very shocked you said no cap because to be honest, like you said, one team has LeBron James and one team doesn't. One team has a guy that's been there multiple times. One team has Alex Caruso who's been there. And also, I would say, I think that the Eastern Conference this year is going to be a little bit more tougher than the Western Conference, which is why I was a little bit surprised as well because I look at some of the top teams in the West. I'm like, all right, we got Golden State and the Phoenix Suns. Everybody else is like, whatever. And that's how the Lakers, that's if you really
honestly, man, I don't know, man. I like
Milwaukee, Miami, the Bucks, the Chicago Bulls, bro, and the Brooklyn Nets. Like,
but I hear you.
That's more tough than I think the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns.
Okay,
to get to the finals.
You're looking at the opposing teams as who they would have to play, which I get, obviously, but at the same time, I think you're giving too much of a benefit of it. And it sounds crazy. I'm going against the Lakers, but it's like you're giving too much of a benefit of a doubt to the Lakers. It's the fact that LeBron James, as much of a hero as he is right now, like that is the highlight. And Russ has been, statistically, he's been, playing pretty well too. And I know people like to, give him shit, but like it's not like on paper and standings wise. It's not like
of course
we're in an era now. Again, right now, I'm just speaking about the way the standings and everything looked as of today. Like, and then on top of that, when you mentioned the other teams, it's like Warriors, Suns, like play this.
That's it.
Right. But what happened last year was everything that I need to see that would make me want to give pause to the Lakers. Because even as great as LeBron is, right, teams are not afraid of the Lakers, right? Teams are not walking into Crypto.com Arena thinking like, oh, shit, we can't beat them. It's not like that anymore.
But I will say this. The Los Angeles Lakers was in firm control of that first round series to get the Phoenix Suns until Anthony Davis went down. So I have to look at when it comes down to the playoffs and we start looking at like talent and like who has who and who has what, it's going to be hard for me to really, even the Lakers run in and be the 8th seed. It's going to be hard for me, like, go to State, okay, yeah. But, like, if they play like the Suns, the Jazz, and it's just like, I look at the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns, that's it to me. Like, I look at the Eastern Conference, that's why I actually, like, cap or no cap, who's more likely to reach the NBA Finals, because I'm looking at, like, the overall teams at the top. I feel like anybody in the Eastern Conference can go to the finals. They can knock each other off. I feel like the Chicago Bulls has a chance. I feel like Brooklyn Nets have a chance. The Miami Heat has a chance. The Milwaukee Bucks have a chance. But I'm really looking at like, the easier road, if the Lakers don't have to play, a number one seed in the easier road is in the West. So that's what I'm saying. And then don't have a healthy LeBron and a Russ and a LeBron James. I know they got issues and stuff like that, but these guys still stamped. They all been to the finals. They all got experience. They all put up points in the playoffs. They all dominated the playoffs individually and on successful teams. It ain't like Russ ain't been to a finals. Ain't like Anthony Davis ain't dominating the finals. Ain't like LeBron James not LeBron James. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I'm kind of surprised you said no cap.
But because the only thing is, and I hate the fact that I keep having to go against the purple and gold. But the only thing is, with your statements, there is a lot of ifs, right? Like if they match up against a certain team, if so-and-so is healthy. The Bulls are playing well right now, right? There is no if, ands, or but. They are here. Like,
yeah, they are.
You know what I'm saying? Whether they have the experience of reaching the finals, that's one thing, and that's a very good point. But, like, there's no question marks right now. They are winning basketball. They're not waiting for someone else to not be injured. They're not waiting for another player on a different team to not be there. They are winning right now.
A team it's also, that's true, but also a team that the Atlanta Hawks, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like it's gonna be tough in the East, bro. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. That's all I'm saying. It's gonna be tough.
It definitely is.
It's gonna be tough. Like people like playing the Hawks and you're the 3rd seed and they're the 6th seed, or playing the Hawks and you're the Chicago Bulls number 1 seed and the Hawks the 8th seed right now. Shit, like it's all right. It's gonna be hard.
So basically, to break down what your question is, basically, which team has a higher chance of making it to the finals? The current number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, or the current 6th or 7th seed in the Western Conference? That's the question I'm being asked right now.
Pretty much.
So, again, love LeBron, love the Lakers, all that, but like, I have to acknowledge numbers. I can't just be
I respect it.
only just a fan. Now trust, come playoff time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Things might change. You might see a healthy AD and all that, but for now, for today,
Yeah,
I literally can't say the Lakers. Like, it just, I don't have a reason to. And again, that's not a knock to them, but to Chicago.
His confidence is shook. His confidence is shook. And the Laker fans' confidence is shook. That boy is speechless.
This is more me giving flowers to the Chicago Bulls as opposed to Los Angeles Lakers. I can't sit here and deny and act blind to what I'm seeing from them. That's all it is. But hopefully we'll get together. Well, yeah, hopefully we'll get together. All right, y'all. Peace. Happy New Year. Yeah.
It's your boy, AK Smith, also known as AK. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.